The smell of grilled burgers filled the backyard of the Thompson family home on a perfect Saturday afternoon in July. Marcus Thompson stood by the pool, beer in hand, watching his nieces and nephews splash in the water, completely unaware that in the next 5 minutes, his entire world would shatter. His father, Richard Thompson, clinked a fork against his beer bottle, calling for everyone's attention. "Family, I have an important announcement to make." Marcus smiled, expecting news about a vacation or maybe a new grandchild. Instead, what came out of his father's mouth would destroy everything Marcus thought he knew about his family. "Your mother and I have decided to transfer ownership of this house to Jessica. She'll be the sole owner, effective immediately." The backyard went silent. Marcus felt his beer bottle slip from his fingers. It hit the concrete patio and exploded into 1,000 pieces, just like his trust in his parents. This house, the house where Marcus had celebrated every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone of his life, the house his parents had promised would be divided equally among their 3 children, had just been given entirely to his youngest sister. And he was finding out at a barbecue. In front of aunts, uncles, cousins, and neighbors. Like it was just another casual announcement. If you've ever felt the sting of favoritism, if you've ever watched a sibling get everything while you got nothing, stay with me. Because what Marcus is about to uncover will shock you. But before we dive into this family nightmare, if you appreciate honest stories about real family drama, consider subscribing. These stories matter, and your support helps us keep sharing them. Now, let's get back to the moment that changed Marcus's life forever. Marcus stood frozen, his mind racing to process what he'd just heard. Jessica, his 27-year-old sister, was jumping up and down, hugging their parents, tears of joy streaming down her face. She looked genuinely surprised, like she hadn't known this was coming. But something about her reaction felt rehearsed, too perfect, too theatrical. Marcus's older brother Alex, 34, stood on the other side of the pool. Their eyes met across the water. Alex looked as devastated as Marcus felt. Their parents had promised them. Repeatedly. Over years of family discussions about estate planning, their parents had assured all 3 children that everything would be divided equally. The house, the savings, the investment accounts. Everything split 3 ways. That had been the plan since Marcus was a teenager. "Dad," Marcus finally found his voice. "Can I talk to you inside?" Richard Thompson's smile faded slightly. He clearly hadn't expected resistance. "Marcus, this is a celebration. Can't it wait?" "No, it really can't." Marcus walked toward the house without waiting for a response. His father followed, looking annoyed. His mother, Patricia, trailed behind, her face a mask of forced cheerfulness that Marcus could now see right through. How had he never noticed how fake his mother's smiles were? Inside the kitchen, away from the party, Marcus turned to face his parents. "What the hell was that?" "Watch your language," Patricia said automatically. "Mom, I just found out you gave away our family home at a barbecue. I think I'm entitled to say whatever the hell I want right now. You promised us. You both promised that everything would be split equally." Richard crossed his arms defensively. "Plans change, son. We've been thinking about this for a while. Jessica has stayed here in Portland. She visits us every week. She takes care of us. You and Alex moved away, built your own lives. Jessica sacrificed her opportunities to stay close to family." Marcus felt anger rising in his chest like a physical force. "I moved to Seattle for work. That's 2 hours away. I visit at least twice a month. Alex is in San Francisco because that's where his wife's family is. We didn't abandon you. We're living our lives. Jessica needs this house more than you do," Patricia said. Her voice had that tone Marcus recognized from childhood, the one that meant the discussion was over, the decision was final. "You have a good job in tech. Alex is a lawyer. You're both doing well. Jessica has struggled. This levels the playing field." "Levels the playing field?" "Mom, this house is worth over $800,000. You're giving her $750,000 and cutting me and Alex out completely. How is that leveling anything? The house was always going to go to one of you, Richard said. We couldn't split it 3 ways. Someone had to get it. So you sell it and divide the money equally. That's what normal families do. Patricia's expression hardened. This is our house, Marcus. We get to decide what happens to it. And we've decided Jessica deserves it. The word, deserves, hit Marcus like a slap. What have I done that makes me not deserve it? What has Alex done? We're good sons. We call, we visit, we've never asked you for money or caused you problems. What did we do wrong? Neither parent answered. They just looked at him with expressions that seemed to say he was being unreasonable, that he was the problem for questioning their decision. When did you decide this? Marcus asked. A few months ago, Richard admitted. Months? You've been planning this for months and you announce it at a barbecue like you're revealing the gender of a baby? We thought doing it publicly would prevent arguments, Patricia said. Marcus laughed bitterly. You thought wrong. He walked out of the kitchen, past the party still happening in the backyard, grabbed his keys from the front hall table, and drove away. In his rearview mirror, he could see Jessica watching him leave, and for just a second, he could swear he saw a smirk on her face. The drive back to Seattle was a blur. Marcus's hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. His phone kept buzzing. Texts from Alex. Calls from his parents. Messages from cousins asking if he was okay. He ignored all of them. By the time Marcus pulled into his apartment complex in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, it was almost midnight. His girlfriend, Rachel, was waiting up for him. She took one look at his face and pulled him into a hug. What happened? Marcus told her everything. The announcement, the confrontation, his parents' justifications. Rachel listened, her expression growing more horrified with each detail. That's insane, she said when he finished. Your parents can do whatever they want with their property, but to announce it like that, in front of everyone? That's cruel. I keep thinking about Jessica's face. She looked surprised, but I don't think she was. I think she knew. I think she's been working on them for months. You really think your sister would manipulate your parents like that? Marcus thought about Jessica. The baby of the family. The one who had always gotten away with everything. Their parents had always been softer with her, made excuses for her. When she dropped out of college, they called it finding herself. When she bounced from job to job, they said she was exploring her options. Marcus and Alex had been held to completely different standards. Yeah, Marcus said finally. I really think she would. Marcus couldn't sleep that night. At 3 a.m, he was sitting at his laptop, doing something he probably shouldn't do. He was logged into his parents' shared email account. He'd set up the account for them years ago when they'd finally gotten smartphones. They'd never changed the password. Marcus had never snooped before. It had felt like a violation. But tonight, he needed answers. What he found made his blood run cold. Emails between Jessica and their mother, dating back 6 months. Jessica had been planting seeds, carefully and systematically, about why she deserved the house more than her brothers. One email from March, Mom, I've been thinking. I know you and Dad want to be fair to all of us kids, but is it really fair? Marcus and Alex left. They have their own lives now. I stayed. I'm here for you. Doesn't loyalty mean anything? Patricia's response, of course it does, honey. You've always been here for us. Another email from April, I saw on Facebook that Marcus bought a new car. Must be nice to have that kind of disposable income. Meanwhile, I'm barely making rent. But I guess that's what I get for putting family first instead of chasing money. Email from May, this one more direct, Mom, I need to talk to you about something serious. I'm worried about my future. I can't afford to buy a house in this market. I'll never be able to build equity like Marcus and Alex have. The only way I'll ever have financial security is if you and Dad help me. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm just asking for what I've earned by being the daughter who stayed. But the email that made Marcus's stomach turn was from June. I heard Marcus complaining to Alex about having to drive down for Dad's birthday. He said it was inconvenient. Mom, I would never say something like that. I don't understand how they can be so ungrateful. You and Dad have given them everything, and they can't even be bothered to visit without complaining. Marcus had never said that. He'd been excited about his dad's birthday. He'd taken a half day off work to get there early. This was a complete fabrication. He kept reading. More emails. More lies. Jessica had told their parents that Alex had said they were getting old and needy. That Marcus had rolled his eyes when their mom asked for help setting up her new iPad. None of it was true. All of it was designed to paint Marcus and Alex as ungrateful, distant sons while positioning Jessica as the devoted daughter. And their parents had believed every word. Marcus forwarded all the emails to his personal account. Then he called Alex, despite the late hour. Marcus? It's 3 a.m. I know. But you need to see something. Check your email. I just sent you something. 15 minutes later, Alex called back. Holy shit. She's been lying about us. 4 months. Maybe longer. I only looked back 6 months, but who knows how long this has been going on. We need to confront her. No, Marcus said. If we confront her privately, she'll just deny it and delete everything. We need to do what they did to us. We need to make it public. What are you suggesting? Marcus was already forming a plan. Mom's 60th birthday party is in 3 weeks. The whole family will be there again. We present the evidence there. In front of everyone. Let the family see exactly who Jessica is. That's brutal, man. So was announcing they're cutting us out of our inheritance at a barbecue. Alex was quiet for a moment. Okay. I'm in. What do we need to do? Over the next 3 weeks, Marcus and Alex built their case. Marcus dug deeper into the email account, finding even more damning evidence. He discovered that Jessica had also been telling their parents stories about Marcus and Alex fighting, about them talking behind their parents' backs, about them planning to put their parents in a nursing home. All lies. All designed to drive a wedge between their parents and their sons. But Marcus found something else too. Jessica's own email account was linked to their parents' family computer. Marcus, feeling only slightly guilty about the invasion of privacy, accessed it. What he found was so much worse than he'd imagined. Jessica was in debt. Serious debt. She had maxed out credit cards totaling over $60,000. But it wasn't from normal expenses. The credit card statements showed charges to online casinos, betting websites, and cash advances. Jessica had a gambling problem. A bad one. And there was more. Emails to real estate agents. Jessica had been inquiring about selling the house before she'd even officially been given it. She'd been planning this for months. Get the house, sell it immediately, pay off her debts, and walk away with whatever was left. She didn't want to keep the family home. She wanted to convert it to cash as quickly as possible. Marcus felt sick. His sister hadn't just lied to their parents. She'd manipulated them into giving her their most valuable asset so she could sell it to cover her gambling debts. This wasn't about family loyalty or fairness. This was about Jessica's addiction and her willingness to destroy her family to feed it. If you're as shocked as Marcus was when he discovered this, drop the word exposed in the comments. Because what's about to happen at that birthday party is going to be explosive. And if you want to see how this plays out, make sure you're subscribed, because we're just getting to the good part. Marcus printed everything. Emails, credit card statements, correspondence with real estate agents. He created a presentation, complete with screenshots and a timeline showing exactly how Jessica had systematically manipulated their parents. Alex helped him organize it, both brothers working late into the night to make sure their evidence was airtight. "Are we really going to do this?" Alex asked the night before Patricia's birthday party. "Once we do this, there's no going back. The family is going to explode." "It's already exploded," Marcus said. "We're just making sure everyone sees the shrapnel." The party was being held at a restaurant their mother loved, a upscale Italian place with a private event room. Marcus and Alex arrived together, both carrying laptops. Their parents looked surprised to see them. "Boys," Richard said cautiously. "I wasn't sure you'd come." "Wouldn't miss Mom's birthday," Marcus said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Jessica was already there, holding court with their aunts and uncles, telling everyone about her plans for the house. "I'm thinking of renovating the kitchen," she was saying. "Really modernize the space." Marcus and Alex exchanged a look. She was still lying. Still pretending she was going to keep the house. The dinner was awkward. Marcus could feel the tension radiating from his parents. They knew something was coming. Jessica seemed oblivious, or maybe she was just a better actor than Marcus gave her credit for. After the cake, after everyone had sung happy birthday, Marcus stood up. He tapped his fork against his wine glass, just like his father had done at the barbecue 3 weeks ago. "Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. I'd like to say something about Mom's birthday, and about family." Patricia's face went pale. Richard half stood from his seat, then sat back down. Jessica looked confused. 3 weeks ago, at a family barbecue, my parents announced they were giving our family home entirely to my sister Jessica. Alex and I were understandably upset. We'd been promised the estate would be divided equally. But our parents explained that Jessica deserved the house more because she'd stayed close to family, because she'd been there for them, because she'd sacrificed opportunities to care for them. The room was silent. Everyone was watching Marcus. I wanted to understand why they felt that way. So I did some investigating. And what I found was truly eye-opening. Marcus opened his laptop. He'd connected it to the restaurant's projector, supposedly to show a slideshow of family photos. Instead, the first email appeared on the screen. The one where Jessica claimed Marcus had called their father's birthday inconvenient. "This is an email from Jessica to our mother. In it, she claims I was complaining about having to visit for Dad's birthday. That's a lie. I never said that. In fact, I left work early to make sure I'd be there on time." Jessica's face went from confused to horrified. "Marcus, what are you doing?" "I'm exposing the truth, Jess. Something you should try sometime." He clicked to the next slide. Another email. Then another. Each one showing Jessica's systematic campaign to poison their parents against Marcus and Alex. The room was dead silent. People were reading the emails projected on the wall, their expressions shifting from confusion to shock to anger. "But wait," Marcus said, his voice dripping with false enthusiasm. "It gets better." The next slide showed Jessica's credit card statements. The charges to online casinos. The cash advances. The $60,000 in debt. Patricia gasped. Richard's face turned red. Jessica stood up so fast her chair fell backward. "You had no right," she screamed. "That's private. Like our inheritance was private. Like your lies about us were private." Marcus kept clicking through the slides. "Here's my personal favorite. Emails to real estate agents. Jessica has been planning to sell the house since before she even got it. She doesn't want to keep it. She doesn't care about family memories or staying close to Mom and Dad. She wants to cash it out to pay her gambling debts." The room erupted. People were shouting. Aunts and uncles were demanding explanations. Jessica was crying, yelling that Marcus was a liar, that he'd faked everything. But the evidence was right there on the wall for everyone to see. Patricia stood up, her face pale and drawn. "Jessica, is this true? Do you have a gambling problem?" "Mom, I can explain. Is it true?" Richard's voice was like thunder. Jessica crumbled. She sat back down, put her face in her hands, and sobbed. Yes. Yes, it's true. I'm in debt. I need help. I thought if I could just get the house, I could fix everything. By lying about your brothers? Patricia's voice was shaking. By making us believe they didn't care about us. You already thought that. Jessica shouted back. You always loved them more anyway. Marcus the successful tech guy. Alex the big shot lawyer. I'm just the family disappointment. I just took what you were already thinking and used it. That's not true, Patricia said, but her voice lacked conviction. Marcus felt a strange mixture of vindication and sadness. He'd exposed Jessica, proven that she'd manipulated their parents, revealed her lies to the entire family. But he didn't feel victorious. He felt hollow. I didn't do this to hurt you, Jessica, Marcus said quietly. I did this because you were destroying our family with lies. You were going to take everything and leave nothing but resentment and broken relationships. I couldn't let that happen. Jessica looked up at him, mascara running down her face. You've destroyed me. No. You destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it. The party ended quickly after that. People left in shocked silence, casting pitying looks at Patricia and Richard, disgusted looks at Jessica, and uncertain glances at Marcus and Alex. The brothers left together, leaving their parents and sister to sort through the wreckage. In the parking lot, Alex turned to Marcus. We did the right thing, right? I don't know, Marcus admitted. But we did the honest thing. That has to count for something. The fallout was immediate and severe. Jessica checked herself into a treatment facility for gambling addiction 3 days later. Patricia called Marcus, her voice thick with tears, apologizing for believing Jessica's lies, for not trusting her sons. Richard was slower to come around, his pride wounded by being fooled so completely, but he eventually called too. The house situation remained complicated. Legally, their parents had already transferred the deed to Jessica. But Jessica, in treatment and facing her addiction, agreed to sign the house back to their parents. Richard and Patricia decided to keep the house for now, putting estate plans on hold until, as Patricia said, everyone has healed. Marcus wasn't sure healing was possible. You can't unknow what he now knew about his family. You can't unsee the favoritism that had always been there, that he'd tried to ignore. You can't unhear the lies your sister told, or forget the moment your parents chose to believe those lies instead of trusting you. But over the following months, something unexpected happened. With Jessica in treatment and the lies exposed, the family started having real conversations. Difficult, painful, honest conversations about feelings and fairness and the ways they'd all failed each other. Patricia admitted she'd always felt closest to Jessica because Jessica had needed her most. She confessed she'd taken Marcus and Alex's independence as rejection, even though she knew that wasn't logical. She'd been hurt that they'd moved away, even though she'd never said so. Richard acknowledged that he'd held Marcus and Alex to higher standards because he'd believed they could handle it. He'd babied Jessica because she'd seemed more fragile. He realized too late that he'd created a dynamic where Jessica felt she had to fail to get attention, while Marcus and Alex felt they had to be perfect to earn love. Jessica, from treatment, wrote letters to both her brothers. Long, painful letters that didn't excuse what she'd done but explained how she'd gotten there. How she'd felt invisible next to her successful brothers. How she'd started gambling as a way to feel excitement, to feel like she was winning at something. How it had spiraled out of control. How she'd convinced herself that she deserved the house because it was the only way she'd ever have anything of value. Marcus read the letters multiple times. He was still angry. Still hurt. But he also recognized, uncomfortably, that his family had been dysfunctional long before Jessica started lying. They'd all played roles in a system that had ultimately hurt everyone. 6 months after the disastrous birthday party, the family had a meeting. All 5 of them, including Jessica, who was 3 months into her recovery program. They met at a neutral location, a park overlooking the Columbia River in Portland. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," Jessica said. She looked different. Thinner, older, but also somehow more solid. More real. "I don't deserve forgiveness. I lied about you. I manipulated Mom and Dad. I almost destroyed this family to feed my addiction. That's unforgivable." "Nothing's unforgivable," Patricia said quietly. "It's just that some things take longer to forgive than others." "I want to make amends," Jessica continued. "My therapist says that's part of recovery. I can't undo what I did, but I can try to make things right going forward. So I have a proposal." She pulled out a folder. Inside were documents she'd had a lawyer draw up. She was voluntarily relinquishing any claim to the family home. More than that, she was agreeing that when their parents did eventually pass, her share of any inheritance would be reduced by the amount she'd cost the family in emotional damage and the money their parents had spent on her over the years that they hadn't spent on her brothers. "I don't know if that makes anything fair," Jessica said. "But it's a start." Marcus looked at the documents, then at his sister. "What happens if you relapse? What happens if you start gambling again and change your mind about all this? Then you'll know I'm not really in recovery. Then you'll know I haven't really changed. But I'm hoping that won't happen. I'm hoping I'm stronger than my addiction." Richard spoke up for the first time. "We've decided to sell the house." Marcus and Alex both looked at their father in surprise. "Your mother and I talked about it. That house has too many complicated memories now. Good ones, yes, but also painful ones. We're going to downsize to a condo. Something easier to maintain. And when we sell the house, we're going to split the proceeds 3 ways. Equally. The way we always should have." "Dad, you don't have to," Marcus started. "Yes, we do. We made a promise to you boys, and we broke it. We let ourselves be manipulated, yes, but we also let our own biases and hurt feelings cloud our judgment. We're going to make this right." Patricia added, "And we're all going to therapy. Family therapy. If we're going to rebuild this family, we need professional help. We can't do it alone." It wasn't a perfect solution. It didn't erase the pain or magically fix years of dysfunction. But it was something. It was an acknowledgement that they'd all made mistakes, that they all needed to change. Marcus looked around at his family. His parents, looking older and more vulnerable than he'd ever seen them. Alex, who'd been so angry but was now tentatively hopeful. Jessica, broken but trying to rebuild. This was his family. Flawed, complicated, sometimes cruel, but still his family. "Okay," Marcus said. "Let's try." Family therapy was awkward at first. The therapist, Dr. Sarah Chen, didn't let anyone off easy. She pointed out Patricia's tendency to triangulate her children against each other. Richard's emotional unavailability and the way he'd communicated love through money instead of words. Marcus's tendency to solve problems by controlling information rather than communicating feelings. Alex's pattern of avoidance whenever conflict arose. Jessica's manipulation and victim mentality. No one was innocent. Everyone had contributed to the family's dysfunction in their own way. But slowly, over months of weekly sessions, things began to shift. Marcus started to understand that his parents' favoritism toward Jessica hadn't been about love, but about their own insecurities as parents. They'd felt like failures when Jessica struggled, so they'd overcompensated. They'd felt unnecessary when Marcus and Alex succeeded, so they'd pulled back. It was all twisted and unhealthy, but it wasn't malicious. Jessica opened up about her addiction, about the shame and self-loathing that had driven her to gamble, then to lie, then to manipulate. She talked about always feeling like she was in her brother's shadows, never quite measuring up, and how that had made her want to tear them down rather than build herself up. The Thompson family was being rebuilt from the ground up. It was exhausting and painful, and sometimes Marcus wondered if it was worth it. But then there would be a moment. A genuine laugh shared over dinner. A heartfelt conversation that didn't dissolve into accusations. A hug that felt real instead of obligatory. And Marcus would remember why he was doing this. The family home sold 8 months after the disastrous birthday party. Marcus, Alex, and Jessica each received a check for just over $200,000. It wasn't the full value of the house, their parents kept a portion for their new condo and retirement, but it was fair. It was equal. It was what had been promised. Jessica immediately used her portion to pay off her debts. Every cent of it went to credit cards and collections agencies. She ended up with nothing left over, back to zero. But she seemed okay with that. "I'm starting from nothing, but at least it's honest nothing," she told Marcus. "I'm not in debt. I'm not lying. I'm just starting over." Marcus used his share as a down payment on a house in Seattle. Rachel had become his fiancée during all of this drama, somehow loving him through the family chaos. They bought a craftsman bungalow with a view of Lake Washington. It was theirs. Built on honesty, not inheritance or entitlement. Alex invested his share. Always the practical one. A year after the barbecue that had started everything, the Thompson family gathered again. This time at Marcus and Rachel's new house for Thanksgiving. It was a much smaller gathering. Just the immediate family. No extended relatives, no friends, no audience. Patricia brought her famous sweet potato casserole. Richard carved the turkey. Jessica made herself useful in the kitchen, helping Rachel with the sides. Alex and his wife set the table. Marcus opened wine and tried not to think about how different this gathering was from the ones they'd had in the family home. But different wasn't bad. Different was honest. During dinner, Richard raised his glass. "I want to make a toast. To second chances. To honesty. To the family we're building, not the family we pretended to be." Everyone raised their glasses. Marcus looked around the table and felt something he hadn't felt in a long time when it came to his family. He felt hope. Jessica caught his eye. "Thank you," she mouthed. Marcus nodded. He hadn't forgiven her completely. He wasn't sure he ever would. But he'd given her a chance to rebuild, and she was taking it seriously. That was enough for now. After dinner, Marcus and Alex stepped outside onto the deck. The November air was cold, and they could see their breath. "You think this is real?" Alex asked. "Or are we just in the calm before another storm?" Marcus considered the question. "I don't know. Maybe both. But I think we're all trying, and that's more than we were doing before." "Do you regret it? Exposing everything at the birthday party?" "Sometimes. It was brutal. It hurt people. But I don't regret the outcome. We couldn't keep building on lies. Something had to break so we could rebuild honestly." "You sound like Dr. Chen." Marcus laughed. "She's growing on me." They stood in comfortable silence, watching lights twinkle in houses across the lake. Each house holding its own family, its own complications, its own secrets. Every family was dysfunctional in its own way. The Thompsons weren't special. They were just trying to do better. Inside, through the window, Marcus could see his family. His mother helping Rachel clear plates. His father showing Jessica something on his phone, both of them laughing. Rachel putting a hand on her stomach where, unknown to anyone but Marcus, a baby was growing. New life. New generation. New chances to get things right. Marcus had exposed his family's lies because he'd believed in the truth. Sometimes the truth destroyed things. But sometimes, if you were lucky, the truth cleared the way for something better to grow. So what would you have done? Would you have exposed your sister publicly like Marcus did? Or would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, if it made you think about your own family dynamics, hit that subscribe button. We're here every week with stories that matter, stories that remind us we're all fighting our own battles with the people we love. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.